Hello, and thanks for joining us here on Encore. Coming up on today's show.
People never smile, because if you smile in Paris, people will think that you are mentally disturbed.
They're not known for their smiles, but residents of the French capital are learning to laugh at themselves with the help of Julie Collas. Oh my God, she's Parisian is her stand-up routine, and even though she's a local, Julie does the whole show in English. She's here in the studio to tell us more. Julie Collas, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your stand-up show, as I mentioned, is called Oh My God, She's a Parisian, and I think you have the credentials. You live here. Your show makes fun of Parisian clichés, but since you perform in English, it's kind of an outsider's point of view. How did you get that distance?
Because Paris is full of clichés, and foreigners have a lot of clichés about us, and those clichés are not really true, so I decided to talk about Paris in the way we perceive our city and Paris, the way we see ourselves Parisians, and it's really easy to make fun of ourselves, actually.
So it's an inside track. Well,
yeah, it is.
Let's get a taste of some of your material.
What time is it?
7 o'clock.
7? And you are here for my show? All of you? Ah non, mais non, you have to come back later. Ah mais non, nothing starts on time in Paris. Parisians are always late.
Well, that cliche looks very true to me from personal experience. Now, if you're an expert in everything that is Parisian, I want to know what isn't Parisian. So I think we should test your knowledge with a little quiz about things that Parisians would never, ever, ever do. So what item of clothing would a Parisian never wear?
What item of clothing? I don't think she would wear a leggings with a pair of sneakers, white ones.
Okay. What dish would a Parisian never order on a menu?
Actually, nothing really, because we eat snails. I mean, we eat frogs and we eat a lot of things. So we would order everything, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's the holiday destination a Parisian would never, ever choose?
Oh, God, I think it would be Spain, Costa Brava and Costa del Sol. This is not Parisian at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
too low rent. Now,
Yeah.
what name would a Parisian never give to their child?
Oh, we would not give American names, like Kevin or John or Jordan. No, not at all.
Okay, so what would a Parisian never do in their free time?
Sports. Yeah, we would never actually go to the gym. Free time is to have a coffee with friends, have a little glass of wine.
Yeah.
Go shopping, go to the museum. No.
I can't see a Parisian doing sport.
Yeah.
Now, finally, what's the one bad habit a Parisian could never give up?
Drinking and talking about people. I mean, we love talking about people. Yeah.
Okay, so that's terrace activity.
Yes, terrace.
Now, as I mentioned, your show is completely in English. You perform in English, and it's not your mother tongue, so it's a very impressive achievement. We were speaking to another comedian who took on a similar challenge, but the other way round, British comic Eddie Izzard. He performs in French in France, and we asked him about whether there's a French sense of humour.
Un table, une table, c'est très féminin. Une table, pourquoi c'est féminin? Parce que c'est féminin. Mais pourquoi? Parce que c'est féminin! Yeah.
Do countries have a national sense of music? If you take rock and roll, the Americans invented it so they could only do it. And then, the British can do it. Yeah, Liverpudlians can do it. Okay, they can actually rule the world doing it. You know, be one of the biggest bands in the world. And the Stones can do it. Okay. And then there's other bands coming through from ABBA came through. They can do pop stuff. Okay, and they're Swedish. And in fact, anyone can do anything. Jazz was invented by Americans. It is one of the distinct American invented creative forms, but you could have a Chinese kid who's a brilliant jazz saxophonist, pianist, whatever, and you wouldn't say, no, that's not allowed. Humour is human. It's not national. References are national.
So, Julie, do you agree? Do you think that there's no national sense of humour?
In France?
Anywhere?
Oh, no, there is. We have a very, very special sense of humor in France. We call it black humour a lot. We like to make fun of people. We like to swear a lot. No, I think I have a lot of people coming to my show from different parts of the world. And the problem is trying to have all the people laugh at the same time. No, you have all kinds of humor.
Okay,
of
well,
course, yes.
Targeting for an audience is, of course, quite a big challenge for comedians. And here, the city is known as the City of Lights. But could Paris be aiming for a new title, the City of Laughs? The stand-up scene in the French capital is going from strength to strength, and a new generation of comedians are making their mark in specialised comedy clubs or open mic nights. David Gilbert and Charles Pellegrin went to find out more.
Et le plus difficile, c'est qu'on est moins drôle que les hommes. Ça a été prouvé scientifiquement par des hommes. Et c'est vrai que quand on pense à la fameuse blague « tire mon doigt », c'est excellent.
The end game is to make people laugh. And one way of doing that is to discuss everyday injustices, so long as you pack a punchline. Tania Dutel has been a stand-up comedian for 10 years and has had time to find her voice.
Go up on stage, being yourself, saying what you're going through. The goal is for people to relate to what you're saying.
Alors moi je m'appelle Tania et je suis une ancienne grosse. Si une seule personne dans la salle dit ancienne, je deviens violente. Merci. En plus, j'ai toujours
Tania is one of the few comedians lucky enough to have her own show.
I write a lot, and I try out my material, and then I start creating my show. I replace things, rewrite things, then replace things I rewrote. Paris is good because you can play every night, even several times a night.
Refreshing your material is essential to keep the audience interested. Trying out these new jokes happens on comedy showcases all over town. For Louis, who is 19 years old and starting his career, these shows are his training ground. He's headed to the Pan Am Art Café, one of Paris's leading comedy clubs.
The audience here knows what they're getting. The show is called The Lab because it's a good place to experiment. Because when you find a joke, you don't know if it's actually funny yet.
Au collège, on raquettait régulièrement. Là, ça surprend personne comme d'habitude, ça fait plaisir. Bon, pour ceux qui ont du mal à imaginer la tête que j'avais au collège, c'est pas normal parce que c'est la même, hein, t'as trouvé la réponse, bravo.
I find it really stressful to be in a bar or a basement that sometimes is almost empty. You have to accumulate experience and stage time. The more stage time you get, the better you get.
Positif quoi. Plus tu joues, mieux tu joues. Je suis un vrai féministe, vraiment au quotidien, je suis féministe. Je fais pipi assis et tout.
Every day, aspiring comedians like Louis test out their jokes in hopes of one day getting their own show. In the meantime, they get 5 minutes to get the audience on their side.
So, Julie, in that report, we heard from comedian Tania Dutel talking about how women are sometimes judged on their appearances. You also talk about some of the clichés surrounding French women, their famous style, the pressure to stay thin. And outside of France, there's a lot of fantasies about La Parisienne. Why do you think she's so iconic?
Well, I think she's iconic because I've thought about it because people are asking me the question all the time. I think we had, first we had Marie Antoinette. She was one of the first one who had her own tailor. She had her clothes made for herself, and she actually kind of created fashion. Then we had Brigitte Bardot, we had Coco Chanel, we had so many. Now we have Inès de la Frésange. We have a lot of very famous girls around us, and that creates a whole atmosphere of luxury. And fashion is French. I mean, fashion is French, and the pressure to stay thin is, it's true in Paris. It is true.
Okay, so that's one cliche that is true. Now, you yourself, you only embarked on comedy relatively recently. You were working as a lawyer before that. Now, it seems like those two worlds would be really different, law and comedy, but were there things in the law that you could take with you to the stage? Can the two jobs be similar?
No. There's nothing similar. Being a lawyer it's a lot about drafting contracts. That's what I was doing actually. So you only negotiate things which are not funny. I mean, you don't need to be an actor. That's not. I guess a lot of people say it's true, but it's not. I don't think it's true. Being a lawyer and being a comedian, a stand-up artist is very different. I mean, you're judged every night on what you do, on your new jokes, on how, and every crowd is going to be different. So I don't think it has for me, that has nothing to do in common, nothing.
And in a way, there are no real rules, are there?
No. I actually do a lot of improv on stage with the different people I have every night. So it's going to be different every night. I mean, sometimes you feel the audience is really supporting you and is not going to let you down. So you kind of feel powerful. It's because people are laughing, and sometimes the audience is not going to laugh that much. And while you're playing, you're kind of panicking. You're like, people are not responding to my jokes. So it's a very, very difficult exercise, actually. But it's, I think it gives you so much pleasure, and it's fantastic.
Well, it's a challenge and a thrill, clearly. Well, finally, we just asked you to give us a cultural tip to round up the show, and you named French singer-songwriter Eddie Di Preto. He's been getting a lot of attention recently. What is it you like about his music?
I think he's got beautiful words. His songs are just beautiful, and I don't know, I love them. I love the guy. I think he looks fantastic.
It's true, there's a great sensitivity there.
Yeah.
Now, Julie, thanks so much for being our guest today. We'll leave you with a taste of Eddie Di Preto's mashup of rap and chanson française with his hit single, Kid. And you can catch Julie Collas on stage at the Théâtre Béau Saint-Martin here in Paris. Remember to check out our website, and you can also keep up with Encore on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Ce sont tout de même les pires à venir. Te castrer pour quelques vocalises, tu seras viril, mon kid. Loin de toi, ces finesses tactiques de ces femmes d'origine qui féminisent, droguisent, sous prétexte d'être le messie fidèle de ce fier modèle archaïque. Tu seras viril, mon kid. Tu tiendras dans tes mains l'héritage iconique d'Apollon. Et comme tous les garçons, tu courras de ballon en champion et deviendras mon petit héros historique.